everyone, welcome back to Debug Diaries. I am Manarsi Jadeja, and in this episode 5 of a Blazor crash course, we are going to explore data binding in the Blazor. So, throughout this video, we are going to mainly explore these three things. First, one-way data binding, then two-way data binding, and at that, there will be some different event bindings that we can learn throughout this session. So, just for the better experience, you guys can move forward to 1.5x playback speed. Yeah, so let's get it started. So the first, let's explore the one-way binding. So one-way binding is basically that you are passing some data from your logic to particular UI. So that will be a simple data binding. Yeah, so as we have already created this demo earlier, if you are guys haven't what I can say, if you have no idea about this demo, you guys can refer the previous video on this Blazor crash course playlist. Yeah, so let's see about this counter. So in this counter, let me print our name something like this. Yeah, let me take one string parameter and we will give the name here like this is our superstar, right? Yeah. So in our code logic, we are giving one particular property or the data throughout the logic we want to pass, and we want to show this data to the UI, we can say. So let me print it here in the h1 tag. So just for due to the data binding or the one-way data binding, you have to just use the razor syntax that will be at the rate, and now you have to use that particular property. So what was our property name? That this is our superstar starting text, right? So now let me build the project and we will see how it will looks. Okay, so project is getting compiled. Yeah, so everything is fine, there is no such error. We are able to see our dashboard. Yeah, so it was just one-way binding, that whatever we are passing through our code logic we are able to see here, right? This is our superstarring text. Let me pass here that to pass what we want to pass, that my audience is great, right? Now let's just rebuild it. And okay, as we have already did this change in the C# logic. So the C# whenever you guys are change anything in the C# logic, at that time you have to make sure that first you close the project and then you have to rebuild it again. Otherwise, if you do some changes in the particular, like in the HTML, then auto load will be fine. Like as here you can see we have only counter, and let me put the name counter is working, right? I have just saved this file, let me reload it. So yeah, you guys are able to see here, right? Counter is working. So as we have did some changes in the C# logic, so let me first close this project, we have to rebuild it again. Just rebuild, and now we are able to see this change. Yeah, so my audience is great. Now so this is all about the one-way binding. Now let's see, we want to implement a two-way binding. So how we can do that? As we have this is our superstarring text, right? Starting text. I want to do in this as a two-way binding. So how can I do the two-way binding? That let me have a one input field. In this input field, whatever I write, it should be bind with the, you can say, this is our superstar in text. Fine. So now let's run. Yeah, so as we have already given that my audience is great, so we are getting here. Yes, it's working fine. Done. Now let me click over there. Yeah, so now this is a two-way binding, that whatever I am changing here means, as I have already defined some lines of a code, or we can say the some text in the line, in the logic, that first we are initially we are able to see here, and whatever I am changing here, that working fine on the, once I will click the outer part of an UI, it will be redirected here. So this is working as a two-way binding. So now this is the two-way binding is done. Now the question is that I want to implement, like whatever I am changing, it should be reflected here runtime. I don't want to reflect it on the, we can say, the after focus. As of now, once you release the focus from the input field, it will be visible over here, right? So we want to implement that whatever I am changing in this particular input field, it should be directly reflect to this particular h1 tag. So now how we can implement, so there are some different events, using that we can implement that. So for that particular, let me implement that. So now I want to implement, we can say, on change, right? Or I can say on input field. So what will be the happen in on input field, that whatever the things is I am going to change, it will be directly redirect to this binding value. This is our superstar tag. So this is, let me check, change my event function, right? As I have to create this function in our C# logic, so let me create that change function. Let me define the change event here. Whatever things we are getting, we have to bind that value to our superstar e value, right? So what the things is, that cannot implicitly convert type object to the string. Okay, let me make it as a toString. Fine. So now change by event function is done, or we are getting still error, that what getting, tag helper attribute must be well formed. Yeah. So as we are binding our value, we can say, with this function, so now we don't have a need for this bind value, right? Okay. Just the function part is, this is causing the issue. Let me check first. I think first we need to close this project. Okay. Okay, yeah, we are missing this. Now it will work fine. So let me rebuild the project, and as of now we are using one event. And what is that event? That is on input, that whatever things I am going to call, or the whatever word I am to writing, or the character I am writing in this particular input field, it will directly call to this function. So let me debug this so I can explain you more in the. So there are some different event also there. I will let you know about the each and every one. So let me do first, like, as I have write only one word and I am getting the value here. So let's debug the value of an e. So yeah, we are getting this t. Yeah. So let me just remove this debug so we can see the output that over here on the on change, or you can say the on input, we are getting the text here. We are able to visible the text here. See the text, right? So this is working fine as per the coding, right? Done. Yeah. So this is about the two-way binding that we have did using the some event as well. So now there are some other we can say there are some different change events are already there. So let me explain you about the change events. Yeah, so there is a one event that is a button click event binding. So in that you have to use the on click and you have to create, as in this example you can see we have an increment count function, and on the increment count your counter will be increment. This is already implemented in our demo project and we have gone through that as well. Like you can see here that we have implemented this function on click, in which we have one function increment count, and in the counter we are incrementing this property. So it will be directly, we can say it will bind that value to the counter here, right? Yeah, so this is about the button click event. Then afterwards there is a one input change event binding that we have just recently seen, that where in the which kind of scenario you guys can use that handle a user input changes, example when typing stop or the focus changes, right? So on changes, what is the earlier as we have implemented this thing, it was, we can say in the by default it was implemented in the on change event. Yeah, that as when you whatever the character we are adding into the input field, we are not able to directly see the reflection in the h1 tag. So when we are able to see the reflection, once you will focus out of the focus, or you click the somewhere in the UI, or you will, we can say, stop or the focus on the changes, then you guys are able to see. So that is one thing that using the on change you guys can implement that, that whatever you guys are writing in that input field, it will be fine, but once you stop the writing and you will click somewhere in the UI, it will be reflected in your particular tag. Afterwards there is a one key press on the on input that we have just seen the example for that. It update the UI immediately as the user types. So in the search bar, in that kind of scenario you guys can use that. In the every word of a search bar you have to show the list. So in that kind of scenario you can use this. Yeah, so there are some other fields or the other events are already there, that mouse over and the mouse out as well. Yeah, so as its name suggests, so a tooltip or the change type when the hovering over a element. So when you hover with your mouse, you guys are able to perform that particular thing. Yeah. Now the event with the parameter that pass argument to your event handler. That as we have seen that on click, at that time we have just seen on click without any parameter, but if you guys want to pass something in that parameter, you are able to do that. How you guys can do that? Just pass the your parameter into this, right? I am passing my parameter in the select item. What that means, that there will be some function like a select item. Yeah, so we are able to see this function simple as a C# function that we are guys are doing. Just we have to follow the some razor pages event is, or the razor pages syntax that we have to follow. Yeah, so in the on click we are passing the select item and function, and we have a item as a parameter. Yeah, so now afterwards we have a form submit event. Like you guys have a form and at the end you want to submit that form. Might be if you have worked with the HTML, at that time you guys have already implemented this kind of thing as well. So the, we can say the procedure will be same. There will be some changes in the UI and as well as in some writing the event codes, right? Yeah, so this was all about the events. Yeah, so what we have learned in this video, that we have seen the one-way binding, two-way binding, and at the end we have seen the different events. For your reference, I will update this code to the repository. So if you want to take this code from repo, yes, you guys can do. And just for the example, as we have a in our code we have implemented on input and on chain. So out of that I have explained there are some other event as well. So if you guys want to practice that, you guys are able to do that. Yeah, so that's fine for today. We will meet again with the new topics, right? Thank you, stay healthy.